You tap your card, and the coffee is yours. A notification buzzes, your paycheck just landed. A few clicks later, your rent's paid. It feels like magic. But beneath that seamless digital dance lies a profound question we rarely ask: what is money, really? Is it just numbers on a screen or something far deeper, more human, and more powerful? Money is a shared illusion, says historian Yuval Noah Harari. And David McWilliams takes that idea further in his captivating exploration, Money, A Story of Humanity. From ancient clay tablets in Mesopotamia to modern crypto wallets, McWilliams doesn't just track money's evolution, he shows how money has shaped the very trajectory of civilization. In a world where financial systems are often seen as sterile or complex, this book brings them to life, revealing that the history of money is actually the story of people, our needs, fears, and dreams. Think of money not as coins or code, but as a kind of social technology, a language of trust. Just as we use words to share ideas, we use money to exchange value. When you buy a coffee, you're not just trading for caffeine, you're participating in a centuries-old ritual of belief. From gold-backed empires to decentralized blockchain networks, every form of currency is a mirror reflecting what we value as a society. And like all mirrors, it shows us more than we realize, sometimes even our own contradictions. So, here's a question: if money is a story we all believe in, who's writing the next chapter? Are we passive players in a financial system we don't understand, or active authors shaping the economy of tomorrow? Understanding money isn't just for economists anymore. It's a form of empowerment. Whether you're a freelancer, a founder, or simply financially curious, decoding money's origin gives you tools to navigate its future. Before your next transaction, pause. Ask not just what you're buying, but what you're participating in. As McWilliams reminds us, money doesn't just make the world go round, it reveals how the world works. So, take this moment to step beyond the swipe and explore the system shaping your life. About the author. David McWilliams is a renowned economist, best-selling author, and acclaimed journalist recognized for his talent in translating complex economic concepts into clear, relatable insights for everyday readers. A regular columnist for the Irish Times, he also hosts the David McWilliams podcast, where he unpacks global economics with wit and clarity. In addition to his media work, he serves as an adjunct professor at Trinity College Dublin and has held influential roles at institutions such as the Irish Central Bank and Banque Nationale de Paris. Key takeaway 1: How grain became the first currency, the hidden origin of money and civilization. Imagine this: you're at the grocery store, tapping your card for a basket of food, quick, clean, efficient. But what if I told you that this ordinary act is the final link in a 10,000-year-old chain that began in ancient fields of grain? Long before coins and digital wallets, money wasn't metal or code, it was barley. Yes, grain was once the gold standard. And behind it lies a riveting tale of how agriculture didn't just change what we ate, it rewired how we lived, governed, and cooperated as a species. Humans evolved for tribes, not taxes, as historian Yuval Noah Harari reminds us. When our ancestors planted their first seeds, they unknowingly planted the roots of modern society. Farming created stability, which led to larger settlements, and larger problems. You couldn't barter a goat every time you needed shoes. To solve this, we invented social technologies, systems like laws, religion, and, eventually, money. These weren't luxuries. They were mental scaffolding, our way of managing trust, resources, and exchange in fast-growing human networks. So what made grain the original currency? It was growable, measurable, and, most crucially, storable. A surplus of barley wasn't just food security, it was stored energy. And that surplus could be used as a unit of account. The ancient Sumerians, for instance, used the shekel, which represented a fixed quantity of barley. Suddenly, value could be assigned, tracked, and traded over time and distance. The humble granary became a proto-bank, influencing economic flow just as central banks do today. But this innovation didn't just make trade easier. It built civilizations. With a reliable medium of exchange, societies could collect taxes, fund armies, and sustain temples. A single farmer's harvest now supported soldiers, scribes, and merchants. The economy expanded beyond survival and into structure. The better the harvest, the more society could grow. In this way, money wasn't just a byproduct of farming, it became the infrastructure of empire. So next time you transfer funds or tap to pay, remember, you're engaging with an idea that began in a field thousands of years ago. Money is more than a means of trade, it's a mirror of our shared story. As David McWilliams puts it, the story of money is the story of us. Key takeaway 2. How the invention of interest changed civilization, from barley loans to modern finance. Imagine living in a world where time had no price tag, where borrowing wasn't measured in interest, but in trust alone. Now imagine the shift when someone, 5,000 years ago, declared, "You can borrow my barley, but it'll cost you extra next season." That seemingly simple decision revolutionized human progress. It didn't just change money, it changed our perception of the future. Welcome to ancient Mesopotamia, where the idea of interest was born, transforming economies from barter-based survival to forward-thinking systems of risk, reward, and debt. As economist David Graeber once said, "Debt is the perversion of a promise." But in Sumer, that perversion was pragmatic. When Kushum, a local beer maker, borrowed barley, his repayment wasn't just grain, it included interest. That interest rate became a story, it measured trust, time, and uncertainty. Time now had a price. Suddenly, money was no longer static, it was potential. This leap connected the present to the future and birthed the foundation of modern financial systems. Think of interest as the first forecasting tool. Lending became a gamble on tomorrow's outcomes. Borrowers were betting on future productivity, lenders were calculating the risk of default. Sound familiar? It's the same principle behind today's credit scores, venture capital, and mortgage rates. The origin of interest rates wasn't about greed, it was about unlocking dormant capital and pushing it toward innovation. By putting wealth into motion, Mesopotamians invented economic momentum. But the Sumerians didn't stop at simple math. They developed compound interest, a system where debt grows over time, accelerating both opportunity and danger. For borrowers like Kushum, that meant a ticking clock of obligation. What began as a helpful loan could morph into a lifelong burden. Interest forced people to think strategically, plan ahead, and assess risk, skills still critical in our era of student loans and national debt. From barley-based loans to Wall Street bonds, this ancient insight has shaped the history of finance. Interest is more than a rate, it's a bridge between what is and what could be. It's a system that made investing, lending, and dreaming scalable. And it all started in a dusty Sumerian ledger. So next time you see an APR or a compound interest calculator, remember, you're standing on the shoulders of people who learned to price time itself. Key takeaway 3: How paper money rewired civilization, the secret power behind trust and finance. Imagine walking into a cafe, handing over a flimsy slip of paper, and receiving a hot espresso in return. No gold, no silver, just trust. That everyday transaction is the result of a radical shift in human behavior, the leap of faith that birthed paper money. Unlike coins minted from precious metals, paper money has no intrinsic value. Its power lies in something more profound, our collective belief in its worth. And that belief, paradoxically, may be one of our species' greatest innovations. Historian Neil Ferguson once observed, "Money is trust inscribed." For most of history, currency was tangible, copper coins, silver bars, or gold-backed notes. But the invention of paper money signaled a societal upgrade, from physical value to symbolic trust. This leap didn't happen overnight. It was propelled by the printing press, which democratized knowledge and encouraged people to challenge traditional power structures, including their understanding of money. If they could trust a printed Bible or a political pamphlet, why not a printed banknote? Centuries before Europe embraced this idea, China's Song dynasty pioneered state-issued paper currency, printed on durable mulberry bark. These notes began as merchant receipts but evolved into trusted government-backed money. The principle was simple yet revolutionary: if a respected institution guaranteed the note's value, people would accept it, no gold needed. Fast forward to 1609, and Amsterdam echoed this innovation. The city created the Wissel Bank, a public bank that centralized chaotic foreign currencies and unified them under the Dutch guilder, backed by gold. This laid the foundation for the history of central banking. The Wissel Bank wasn't just a financial hub, it was a political engine. As the Dutch state borrowed from merchants to build its navy, that navy protected global trade routes, bringing back wealth and reinforcing the economy. Paper money became the lubricant in this powerful cycle of trust, commerce, and reinvestment. It didn't just represent value, it enabled coordination among strangers, transforming the Netherlands into a global economic powerhouse. So next time you tap your card or Venmo a friend, pause and consider, money works because we believe it works. That shared belief, rooted in trust in financial systems, allowed societies to scale, innovate, and thrive. Paper money isn't just currency. It's a symbol of our ability to cooperate across time, distance, and difference. Want to understand the future of finance? Start by appreciating the rise of paper money, and the quiet revolution of trust it represents. Key takeaway 4: How banks create money out of nothing, the truth about modern credit and finance. You check your bank app, your salary just landed, your mortgage payment cleared, and your credit card bill is due. But have you ever wondered where that money actually comes from? Not the cash in your hand, but the digital numbers that shape your financial reality. Here's the truth: nearly 90% of the money in our economy doesn't physically exist. It's created, quite literally, by keystrokes in a bank's computer. Welcome to the modern money system, where banks don't move money. They make it. This idea may sound wild, but it's not new. Money has always had two faces, one physical, gold, grain, coins, the other conceptual, contracts, credit, and trust. In ancient times, most trade happened through IOUs and reputation, not cash. Physical currency only came into play when it was time to settle debts. What mattered more than gold in hand was trust in a promise. Renaissance bankers took this concept to the next level with double-entry bookkeeping, unlocking a financial revolution that would power global trade. Fast forward to today, commercial banks are the primary engines of money creation. When they approve a loan, whether for a home, a car, or a business, they aren't transferring existing funds. They're creating brand new money out of thin air. That credit instantly becomes spendable. The bank logs it as an asset, and the borrower accepts it as a liability. This cycle of creation and repayment forms the invisible architecture of our entire economy. But with great power comes great risk. This system, built on contracts, confidence, and credit, can enable rapid innovation or devastating collapse. Financial crises often start not with a shortage of coins, but with a crack in trust. While central banks set guidelines, they don't directly control how much money is created through lending. Instead, they manage the flow with interest rates and rules, trying to steer a system they don't fully drive. So next time you swipe your card or take out a loan, pause and ask, what is this money, really? It's not just digits or debt, it's a reflection of belief in the system. If we want to understand the future of finance, we must first grasp this: how credit creates money is not just a feature of the system, it is the system. Let's keep exploring how these invisible forces shape our very real lives. Key takeaway 5: How M-Pesa transformed money in Africa, the real story of mobile financial inclusion. Imagine relying on a bus driver to deliver your entire paycheck to your family in the countryside. No banks, no wire transfers, just hope. For millions in Africa, this was the reality until a quiet financial revolution turned basic mobile phones into banks. In 2007, Kenya launched M-Pesa, a mobile money platform that changed lives, not with hype or crypto buzzwords, but with real-world functionality that answered a deep, urgent need: the lack of access to safe, reliable financial services. Unlike Bitcoin or flashy fintech apps, M-Pesa wasn't born in Silicon Valley, it emerged from necessity. As the historian Yuval Noah Harari once said, the most successful ideas are not those that are imposed from above, but those that spread from the ground up because they meet real needs. That's exactly what happened here. With just a text message, users could send money, pay bills, or get a loan. No bank branch, no internet connection required. M-Pesa represents financial inclusion through technology, not as a luxury, but as a lifeline. To picture it, think of your mobile phone turning into an ATM, a bank teller, and a savings account, all rolled into one. No flashy apps, no complex user interfaces, just simple SMS-based commands that anyone could learn. Before this, sending money meant long journeys, high fees, and massive risks. But how M-Pesa works is deceptively simple. Mobile phone credit is converted into digital money, secured through a trusted agent network, and redeemable instantly. It's no surprise that today, over 70% of Kenya's population uses it, contributing to nearly 30% of the country's GDP. But what makes M-Pesa so revolutionary isn't just the tech, it's the trust. It passed a test that many digital currencies still fail. Does it solve a real problem for ordinary people? M-Pesa proved that money isn't just a financial tool, it's a social technology. One that empowers the excluded, strengthens communities, and redefines what's possible. In contrast, cryptocurrencies often chase speculation, while M-Pesa quietly delivered stability, access, and progress. So ask yourself, what if financial systems were designed not for stock traders, but for farmers, vendors, and students? M-Pesa shows us what's possible when innovation meets empathy. Money evolves to serve people, not the other way around. And when it's built to include, not exclude, it does more than fuel economies, it transforms lives. In summary, Money by David McWilliams takes us on a fascinating journey through the evolution of money, from its humble beginnings in ancient grain storage to the complexities of today's digital currencies and financial systems. From ancient barter to digital wallets, the book Money invites us on a breathtaking journey through the evolution of human civilization, told through the lens of the most powerful invention we've ever created, money. It's not just a story of coins and currencies, it's a story about people, progress, and the profound belief systems that underpin society. At its heart, Money explores how this invisible force has shaped our relationships, our trust in strangers, and our capacity to build complex societies. Long before Wall Street and smartphones, early humans developed a radical idea: value could be stored, shared, and symbolized. The moment agriculture created stable food supplies, humans had to solve a new set of problems, like distributing resources and resolving disputes. Enter money, not as a luxury, but as a survival tool. From stored grain in Mesopotamia to the invention of the shekel, McWilliams masterfully reveals how money became the software that ran the hardware of civilization. The birth of interest marked a seismic shift in how we viewed time and risk. Suddenly, money wasn't static, it was dynamic, growing, compounding, and connecting the present with the future. Through vivid examples like the beer maker Cusham in ancient Sumer, McWilliams shows how charging interest turned borrowing into hope, and lending into foresight. It was the beginning of long-term planning, of economies built on trust and prediction. Then came paper money, an audacious leap of faith that replaced gold with belief. As trust in institutions grew, so did our willingness to accept paper as value. From the Song dynasty's mulberry notes in China to Amsterdam's Whistle Bank, this new form of money revealed something profound: the strength of a currency depends not on its material, but on the collective confidence of its people. McWilliams captures this moment in history as a triumph of social cohesion and institutional credibility. Modern money, as the book powerfully explains, is mostly credit, created not by governments, but by commercial banks at the stroke of a keyboard. Physical cash is only a tiny fraction of what we use. The rest is built on contracts, debt, and trust. It's a system that empowers growth, but one that's vulnerable to shock. By tracing its roots back to Renaissance bookkeeping and Sumerian clay tablets, McWilliams makes one thing clear: money is less about what we hold, and more about what we believe. But perhaps the most inspiring part of the book lies in its final chapters, where money meets humanity. McWilliams highlights Kenya's M-Pesa revolution, a brilliant example of money evolving to meet real-world needs. By turning basic mobile phones into powerful banking tools, M-Pesa delivered financial freedom to millions. It didn't need Wall Street to succeed, it needed purpose, practicality, and people. It proved that when money is inclusive, it becomes transformative. Through every era, money has reflected our greatest strengths: innovation, cooperation, and the will to solve problems. From granaries to global banking apps, McWilliams' message is clear: money is a social technology, a tool we designed not just to survive, but to thrive together. And when shaped with empathy and equity, it can unlock astonishing progress. So if you've ever wondered whether money is just numbers and notes, think again. It's a mirror of who we are, and a blueprint of what we can become. Let this story empower you, not just to understand finance, but to reimagine your relationship with value, trust, and possibility. If this summary moved you, do something powerful: like, share, and subscribe to help spread this message of hope, progress, and empowerment. And if no one told you lately, remember this: you are loved, you are worthy, and you are spectacularly capable of extraordinary things.